Alright guys, welcome back to another video for class builds in Modern Warfare. Today we're going to be looking at more of a scout class, as you can see for the actual name. This is going to be mostly going over long range reconnaissance and also lethality for long range. And what I'm going to be doing here is just kind of going over the class build and what we're going to be using, and why I'm going to be using these certain perks, guns, lethals and tacticals and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with the primary. Now I went with the SPR 208, or the Remington 700 as it's known in real life or IRL. So what we're going to do, we're going to build it to where it's going to be the most effective at the longest range. So it is going to be turned into a real almost a 50 cal sniper from the sniper category. So it is going to be a little bit slower, but since it's in the marksman rifle category, it is going to be a little bit faster than those in terms of handling. So let's go ahead and go with the barrel. We want to go with the SPR 26-inch barrel. This will give you the most amount of damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. The recoil control is pretty much useless when it comes to a bolt action rifle. Because by the time you pull back the bolt, it will already be recentered and stuff to follow up on your next shot, so the recoil control doesn't mean anything to you. It does get rid of a pretty good amount of aim down sight speed and movement speed, but it's typical with every single barrel for any gun in this game. From there, we want to go to the laser, and we want to go with the tac laser. Now this will give you the most amount of aim down sight speed pluses to your gun, so it makes it a lot faster in that category. Aiming stability, which you're going to need for long range engagements, and aim walking steadiness, you don't really need to worry about that. Of course, cons, your laser is visible to enemies, so you do have to look out for that. But by the time someone sees your laser, you're already on their head or in the upper chest, ready to blast that fella. So from there, you want to of course go with your optic. Since you're going long range, you would either want to run the Solo Zero SPR 28mm, which is a 7x scope, which is pretty good. The most assault rifle sniper scopes only go up to 4.4 times, so that's a pretty good plus. Or you can go with the variable zoom. It does add a little bit more weight to your gun, so it does get rid of more aim down sight speed, but it does bump it up to 8 times. But you can zoom from 3.5 to 8 times, so it kind of makes it a little bit more flexible in different categories. But I'm just going to go with the normal sniper scope just to make it more simplified, and it's going to be a little bit better for you. Now from here, it's you would want to be going over to the 338 Lapua 5-round magazine. Now this will increase your bullet velocity drastically, increase your effective damage range by a good 50%, which is massive for one attachment. And of course, bullet velocity has been increased, and it does say your damage has been increased, but since it is a one-shot kill gun, normally if you're hitting people in the upper chest, it just makes it to where it extends down to the whole torso, so you get the entire torso for a one-shot kill area, and of course the head. Extremities don't count, so you don't get that. Extremities being your limbs, your arms and legs, if you guys don't know what that meant. And from there, you could do a bunch of other stuff. Normally I would run the monolithic suppressor just to make it a little bit more silent, so you can pick people off without their knowledge of they're being fired at. And it does increase your damage range a little bit more, but it also increases your bullet velocity, so I would use that for really long range engagements. If you don't want to run that, you can also go with the Sloan KR600 Feather. I would put that on there if I want to be a little bit more aggressive. That makes it to where you have a little bit faster speed to your bolt rechambering, so it's pretty solid. But out of just making it to where it's real long range, I want to put on the monolithic suppressor, and this is going to be your build. So monolithic suppressor, the SPR 26-inch barrel, the 338 normal round mags all increase your bullet velocity, and the normal rounds make it to where you have the whole torso to actually fire at someone. So it now hits as hard as the actual bigger sniper rifles, the HDR, the X50, and the Rytec, or the Bear 50 cal. So pretty solid choice. Again, I did this because it is a little bit lighter when it comes to base stats, so it's a little bit better and a little bit. You could probably pull off a little bit more medium to close range kind of engagement fighting with this thing. Of course, you gotta land your first shot or you're dead. There's no way in the world you're going to pull off another round to kill someone. But yeah, so this is pretty much your primary. From there, I went with the 50 GS or the Desert Eagle, shooting a 50 cal round out of a handgun, pretty much a hand cannon. It's going to have a similar build, but it's not really something I'm going to be using for long range. But for the barrel, we want to go with the Forge Tac Enforcer. Makes it to where it has the hand cannon kind of barrel to the gun. It just gives you damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, standard stuff. I want the recoil control mostly, and the effective damage range of 44 meters of this gun. So that makes it to where that you're able to get a 2-shot kill within a 44 meter range to your gun. And anytime throughout the whole entire deal there, you're going to be able to get a 1-shot headshot. After that, you want to put on the lightweight trigger just to speed up your fire rate a little bit more, and it does get rid of a little bit aiming stability, so you're not going to be using this gun for long range engagements. It's just going to be your secondary, so it's just a hard hitting one, and I see that it works out pretty well for a secondary. From there, you really just want to put on all the attachments to speed up. Tac laser is definitely a good option for that. Simple grip tape. And this is either like one of your guys' choice. You can probably run sleight of hand so you can have that 0.7 reload speed or 0.7 second reload speed, so you can get those 7 rounds in there faster. Or you can go with a 10-round magazine just to have it on there. But I'll go with sleight of hand since it doesn't add any weight to my gun. And again, I'm using this as a secondary, so it's not really. I'm not really going to be using this like primarily as a primary or something. So that's what we got. So we got the SPR 208. Built for the most amount of range. I actually use this build very often on Warzone. 50 GS handgun, or the Desert Eagle, kind of built like a hand cannon, but not really. It's just kind of there for speed and just getting the most amount of effective damage range for that 1-shot headshot to make it one heck of a gun. Now this is where you get the most out of your gun, or like, you know, really become like a real scout for your teammate in a sense, is in the perks. So in the perks, we're going to be running specialists to get the most amount out of these things. And of course, you know, when you have specialists, when you get 8 kills, you get specialist bonus, where you get every single perk in all these lists in perk 1, 2, and 3, like everything, like battle hardened, shrapnel, amp, tune up, all this stuff. When you get 8 kills, so it makes your guy an absolute beast and an absolute unit of a, like, you're pretty much a super soldier. On top of that, you also get a perks towards like your sleight of hand. You do get like weapon perks to both your guns, so you do get sleight of hand. I'm not sure if you get focus. I haven't actually tested that just yet, but you get that. You get frangible wounding. You don't get FMJ, but you do get frangible wounding and sleight of hand out of the whole deal, which is pretty cool. And so that does speed up your gun a little bit more. So we've got to keep that in mind. You know, the specialist bonus is probably the best way to go here. If you don't want to run specialists, you can run like kill streaks and, you know, get like the personal radar, UAV and stuff, give people like more reconnaissance like for minimap coverage and stuff. But I want to use this because you know, you turn into a superhero pretty much, or a super soldier, and I actually prefer this over the kill streaks a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started with the first 3 basic perks that you're going to need. This is what you start off with. You don't need to get any kills in order to get these. It's the first perk 1, 2, and 3. So for perk 1, since we're going to be a scout, we want to probably stay off the radar for the most part. So I went with cold-blooded, and this is going to make it to where that you're undetectable by AI targeting systems. That means like any AI VTOL warships, the Hilo helicopter, or like the payload, what is it? The heavy armored helicopter that comes in with the twin turrets and you know, sentry guns, any of that stuff, AI controlled kill streaks. That and thermal scopes or thermal optics are going to appear a little bit darker. So if you're like laying down in the grass or something, which normally will be like a dark ground cover, if you're like laying down, they're not really going to see you very well. if not at all if you don't move. And if they are looking at you through a thermal scope, they won't be able to see your sniper glint, which is a really cool detail I like. So you don't need to worry about your sniper glint being seen if they are looking at you with a thermal scope. And it does not trigger high alert warnings. So you can look at someone if they are running high alert, which is the second perk here, then they won't. It won't actually trigger that. So let's go ahead and head over to perk 2, which is high alert. Your vision pulses when enemies outside of your view see you. Now this one I feel like is a very underappreciated perk. So high alert, or in previous games it was Sixth Sense. But when any time there's an enemy looking at your model or your guy from any direction that's outside your field of view, it'll light up on your side of your screens on which direction he's looking at you from. So if he's on your right side looking at you and he's not in your field of vision, it will show like a yellow bar on the right side of your screen, letting you know there's someone over there looking at you. So I kind of use this as a way to keep you alive. You kind of have an idea that someone's looking at you, so you can move and change positions. And it does help out a little bit with knowing where people are, so you can kind of use that information to figure out where someone is. And someone might not even be like deliberately looking at you. They might just be kind of like scanning overhead and kind of hit you, or like hit that perk, kind of activate it. And then, you know, you can kind of look over there, look for the fella and snipe them off, but that's rarely the case. But, you know, that's a high alert, so I'm running that. Perk 3, now this one's really good for the scout class. It is spotter, so you can see enemy equipment, field upgrades, and kill streaks through walls. And you also mark them by aiming down your sights, like when your sight actually lands on them. You can also hack Claymore's proximity mine, C4, and trophy system, so you can get a little bit more of like a stealthy flank on someone. You can just literally hack into their whole camp setup that they got going on. But this is really used for like long range sniping and stuff like that. So if you see like a building that's a pretty good ways out and you're looking for people, your team's about to storm the building, you can spot all of those like C4, you know, claymores and all that stuff, lighting them and outlining them for your teammates, so they know where all those guys are. And others that might be running this perk as well would be able to see that, of course. But yeah, it's a really, really awesome and very strong perk that people don't use. And I think it goes well with this class really, really well. And that's going to be the first 3 perks you're going to be using right when you spawn in. Now for the specialist streaks. Now I want to go with tune-up. Normally, you know, it does a very simple thing. It reduces the charge time of field upgrades by 40%. I'll be going over why I picked this in just a second, but that's pretty much just straightforward. After the 4 kills perk, you're going to be able to get tracker. Enemies leave behind a footprint trail, see markers at enemy death locations, and hide the death markers of enemies you kill. So what this is pretty much making it to where I'm kind of using it more for the stealth factor of you know, hiding the death markers of your enemies that you kill. So what that means is that, you know, like normally when your teammate dies to an enemy, they have that little skull that appears above their dead body, letting you know that someone had a line of sight on them and, you know, killed their teammate. So you know someone's in that area somewhere. And you got a little bit of information on where that person is, so you're kind of prepped, you know, jumping around corners and stuff, ready to shoot a fella. This won't give you that information, so you don't even know if your teammate died or not unless you're paying attention to the mini-map, or unless he dies like right in front of you. So I'm using it more for the stealth factor there, but it also makes it to where that you can see enemies' footprint trails, like going behind buildings and stuff, so it makes it a little bit easier for you to figure out where people may be. And, you know, with their own death icons popping up on your screen, so you can kind of see where all of them are spawning if they're being killed by your teammates, so you can get a little bit extra information to snipe at those fellas to help them out. So this is also a really handy one, just like the spotter one. Really, really solid. For the 6th kill streak, I kind of went with Ghost, because out from here there's not really any other like real recon kind of perks here. So I went with Ghost to make it to where you're off the radar, gives you the extra stealth benefit, and you know, you just stay off of UAVs and stuff. You don't need to be moving in order for it to be activated, which, you know, Modern Warfare, I kind of wish they did make it to where you can move a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Helps me out in this. And you're also undetectable by heartbeat sensors, but in normal multiplayer and ground war, no one uses that, so I wouldn't worry about that. The only time that you need to worry about that, like the heartbeat sensors and stuff, if you're playing Warzone or something. And you know, like I said before, 8 kills, you get the specialist bonus, you get all these fellas, they're a freaking beast of a unit. And so yeah, so that's what we're going to be using. So really, spotter, tracker, tune-up, and high alert is the 4 things we're going to be using here. Cold-blooded, and goes for the stealth factors, is what I'm running there. So you're really going to be a fairly stealthy guy. Lethals. Now you can run a throwing knife if you want to, kind of make it to where it's more of that scout area. But I run C4 or frag grenades. It doesn't really matter a whole lot on what you do. You can probably even get proximity mines to, you know, cover up your flanks and stuff if you're going to be making like a sniper nest kind of deal. But yeah, so I'm just running the basic C4 right now. Tactical, a heartbeat sensor, so you're able to spot people. You know, kind of give it, you know, general information. I believe this goes out to 40 to 50 meters, so it's not really long range, but it does help you. Snapshot grenades is also a really good one. You know, you can see people through walls with this, and it's pretty solid. It only lasts for like a second or so, but you can also use it for the mini-map if people can't be scanned by it. So it acts as like a little one-pulse UAV thing. Or you can also use decoy grenades, which you can now throw out, and you know, it makes a bunch of like gunshot noises and stuff through the speakers that you can see. But now, I didn't know this, apparently they buffed this thing to where now it not only makes gunshot noises, but it makes different gunshot noises. It doesn't just sound like one continuously firing, like, you know, assault rifle or something. It makes different sniper noises, SMG noises and stuff, so you actually think someone's firing at you, or there's actually people over there. And it also has a sniper glint to it, which is kind of weird, but it really messes with people and they'll start shooting at those. If they're not running a suppressor, you can kind of see them on your mini-map, and it's a really good tool to use for gathering information. Heartbeat sensor does the same, but I think I'll just run the decoy grenade for now. You also get 2 of them by default, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so this is pretty much the build. This is the scout class, running the SPR 208, the 50 GS, all the perks plus the specialist bonus, lethal, the C4, or whatever the heck you want to run, probably the proximity mines or claymores for the sniper nest, tactical decoy grenade, or heartbeat sensor snapshot grenade, and that's pretty much it. So it's a pretty cool class there. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the game. Not really gonna be shooting any bots or anything. I guess this is not really, you know, something I need to be shooting bots for, because I'm sure you guys know how these guns act. It's not really a gun build, you know, video here. So let's go ahead and jump in. And yeah, so this is actually going on a little bit longer than I would like, going on about 20 minutes or so. So as you can see, it is a little bit slower. It does aim a lot slower than, you know, the normal like marksman rifles, but it is faster than most sniper rifles, like the 50 cal ones, while still keeping up the damage. So yeah, so I mean, there you go. That's a Remington 700, and that's what you're gonna be using. 5-round magazine. If you don't want to use the Lapua rounds, I'd just put it on there for the bullet velocity and the, you know, lower torso, you know, one-shot kill area. So you turn it into a sniper rifle, like a really hard-hitting one, while being in the marksman category. But if you don't want to run that, you can definitely run like the 10-round magazine if you want to. You just got to be hitting those upper chest areas. So yeah, there we go. I don't really have any like bots or anything, but why I wanted tune-up on here is, I didn't mention this before, but you would want to go with the recon drone field upgrade, where you can pull out this little guy, and it flies around. When it sees an enemy that's not running a, what is that? I believe it's Ghost or either Cold-Blooded. I think it was Cold-Blooded, but if they're running Cold-Blooded, you won't be able to target them, but you are able to see where they are. If they're not running either of those perks, you're able to scan them if you look at them for about a second, and it'll pop up as a little red dot, and you can kind of track them in real time for a couple seconds. You and all your teammates are able to do this, to see them, so it works really, really well for, like, you know, an actual reconnaissance deal. And you can also pair this with a actual teammate to strap C4 to it, and you can make yourself a flying RCXD. So it's a pretty solid little free kill streak kind of deal. Now, as you can see, it is charging really fast. I have the charge rate at 10 times speed, so don't pay attention to that. It's a lot slower, so that's why I would run tune-up for this whole deal. Of course, you know, when you now, to you, they only make like one kind of gunshot noise like this, but they do actually make like different gunshot noises to enemies and stuff. It's so that you're able to tell, like, if it's actually your teammates or not. Because you know you don't want to be confused by your own gear. Of course, you know, you got the C4. You can also run either the recon drone or like the stopping power rounds, which I recommend running. This will make it to where that your Deagle or your 50GS is a one shot to anywhere in the body, because the base damage in the torso is going to be, or anywhere in the torso, is going to be 70 damage. And the limbs, it's odd because it has a little bit more damage, and that's 77. So it does make it to where it's a one-shot kill. So pretty handy for a weapon. You know, it also makes it to where your SPR is also one-shot kill. So this is what I mean. Like, you don't need to run the Lapua round magazines. If you're running stopping power rounds, you don't really need to do that. But I just, again, put that there for the bullet velocity mostly, so I can get those really long shots off. It makes it like one heck of a gun. So yeah, I hope you guys, you know, enjoy this video. It's just kind of a scout class kind of deal. I recommend trying it with your teammates and stuff, especially when you got yourself the recon drone. Get them to get some C4 strapped to that sucker, and you can like fly it in like, you know, an Amazon care package about to blow someone up. You know, me and my friend did that. We got a bunch of kills off of there, and it's the most funniest stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me what you guys think about this whole class setup in the comments or something, if you're actually going to run it. If you have anything that you think works better than what I showed here, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.